Let's move on to Introduction to Multidimensional Arrays. In Java, arrays are a fundamental data structure that allows you to store multiple values in a single variable. While a single-dimensional array holds a list of items, multidimensional arrays extend this concept, allowing you to create table-like structures. These are especially useful for representing matrices, grids, and other two-dimensional datasets. This lesson will explore how to create and manipulate multidimensional arrays in Java, providing you with the necessary skills to organize and manage complex data structures effectively. Don't worry if this feels new at first. Now we're on understanding multidimensional arrays. A multidimensional array is essentially an array of arrays. The most common form is a two-dimensional array, which can be visualized as a table with rows and columns. To define a two-dimensional array in Java, you specify two sets of square brackets. For example, the samples on screen walk through this step. Take a moment to read through them. In this example, we have created a two-dimensional array named matrix with 3 rows and 4 columns. The first index represents the row, while the second index represents the column. Let's move on to declaring and initializing multidimensional arrays. There are several ways to initialize multidimensional arrays. You can initialize an array at the time of declaration or afterward. Here's how to do both. This section covers 1. Declaring and initializing at declaration. The samples on screen walk through this step. Take a moment to read through them. In this example, we declared a two-dimensional array called numbers and initialized it with values in a single step. Now to declaring and initializing after declaration. I'll let you read the examples on screen rather than reading every line aloud. Here, we first declared a 2x3 array and then assigned values to each element in the array using their respective indices. Let's move on to accessing elements in a multidimensional array. To access elements in a multidimensional array, you use the indices of the element you wish to access. For example, see the example on this slide. Pause if you want to study the details. In this case, numbers 1, 2 refers to the second row and third column, which contains the value 6. This section covers iterating through multidimensional arrays. To process each element in a multidimensional array, you typically use nested loops. The outer loop iterates through the rows, while the inner loop iterates through the columns. Here's an example. The samples on screen walk through this step. Take a moment to read through them. This code will output all the elements in the numbers array in a tabular format. The numbers.length gives the number of rows, and numbers.length gives the number of columns in the current row. Now, practical example, creating a multidimensional array. Let's create a simple program that represents a classroom of students and their scores in 3 subjects. We will use a two-dimensional array to store the scores. This slide introduces a class definition. Study the structure in the code sample. So, this program initializes a two-dimensional array with student scores, then prints the scores in a formatted manner. Each inner array represents a different student's scores across 3 subjects. In this lesson, you learned about multidimensional arrays in Java, how to declare and initialize them, access their elements, and iterate through them using nested loops. Multidimensional arrays are powerful tools for managing complex data and can be particularly useful in applications such as game development, data analysis, and more. Go ahead and work through this exercise. First, declare a 4x4 multidimensional array and initialize it with values from 1 to 16. Next, write a program that calculates the sum of each row in your 4x4 array. Also, modify the classroom program to average the scores for each student and print the result.